Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series Mutt and Junkyard, Xandar, Rock and Roll from the retro carded line, and the Cobra H.I.S. tank driver that came with the HASLab H.I.S. tank. Okie dokie then, so these are all relatively recent pickups or unboxings. Mutt and Junkyard, I picked that up down at Southend-on-Sea Toy Fair a few days ago. Then Xandar, Rock and Roll and the Cobra H.I.S. tank driver. These were all recently unboxed in my unboxing live stream that I did again a few days ago. So what we're going to do is start off with Xandar. Okie dokie then, so here is Xandar, and before we get him out the box, let's take a quick look at the box. As you can see, Xandar comes in the new style boxing, which is pretty cool. Again, we have the window here, where you can see Xandar in all his glory, looking pretty fantastic. Then you have the Cobra logo, the G.I. Joe Classified Series logo, the Hasbro logo, and then you have like the little warning box down the bottom there. Spin it round to the side, and he is 146 in the wave with a little Cobra logo there, and I cannot believe there's 146 figures in the G.I. Joe Classified Series already. Then down the bottom here, you have this barcode here. Scan that and it'll bring up all his stats and information there that you can see online. Again, that is something I don't do. I much prefer the file cards. Spin around and then you have an awesome image of him on the back there looking pretty cool. And I've noticed the motorcycle in the back. It would be great if Hasbro released a motorcycle for the Dreadnoks. That would be pretty cool. Spin it round. You have another awesome image of Xandar just here. G.I. Joe Classified Series 146. Spin it round. There's the front again. On the top, 146 with the Cobra logo. And on the bottom, you just got all the legalese and other bits of information. So, there you go. Right, let's get them open and let's take a look. Righty-ho then. So here is Xandar out of the packaging along with his accessories. And before we get to the figure, we will start off with the accessories. And I just want to say, to save myself from repeating myself all the way through this overview, there is no weathering on these accessories, so they do look pretty dull and boring. With that being said, we'll start off with the backpack. So it's just predominantly all grey. You've got a little bit of black either side there, and then you've got some texturing at the front, which looks pretty cool and feels pretty cool. But I think that detailing would be able to come out a lot better if it was weathered. But there you go. So spin it round, you've got the peg there that goes into the back of the figure. So there's the backpack. Then you have his main weapon. Again, predominantly all black with a little bit of silver at the front there. So there's that. Then you have his dagger. Again, silver and black. Pretty clean looking. Then you have this weapon here. Again, silver and black, a total lack of weathering. And then you have his pistol, which is just plain black. Now I find it such a shame that they don't weather these accessories up, because I think they would look so much better, but there you go, it is what it is. Now let's take a quick look at Xandar. So starting with his face sculpt, not too bad. I really do like the colour of the hair, that really makes the figure pop along with this pink. Then for the most part, he is all in grey. You've got these gold bits on the shoulder pads there, which really stand out, which I think is pretty cool. I'm liking the detailing on those there. And then you have, if I just move his arm, get out of the way, you've got the chain there, a different colour. The belt buckle, the belt's painted a different colour as well, which is pretty cool. And then the same with his boots, predominantly brown with little bits of gold added in there, or copper, which looks pretty cool. So yeah, I mean overall he doesn't look a bad figure. Again, pretty clean looking, but it is what it is. Right, okay, what I'm going to do then is get his accessories on him and see what he looks like all kitted up. Typical. So here we have Xandar then, all kitted up. And I've got to say, overall, yeah, he doesn't look too bad. In my honest opinion, I think he looks a little bit too clean. And what I mean by that is, when I think of Xandar and the Dreadnoks, I expect them to be grungy, dirty looking types of characters. And I think he's far too clean. His hair, too clean. He could have done with a wash in his hair just to dirty it up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of grime on his skin and stuff like that. A little bit of grime on his clothing. And as I've mentioned before, the total lack of weathering on the weapons. So, yeah. I mean, look, he's going to look pretty cool in the display anyway. But I just think he could have looked a hell of a lot better. That's Xandar. Let's get someone else opened. Next up then we have Craig Rock'n'Roll McConnell on the G.I. Joe Classified Retro Style card. And I've got to say, as a card goes, I'm absolutely loving that image. I think he looks pretty cool. And as the figure goes, from what I can see, he does look pretty cool. I'm loving the accessories that he comes with. Awesome stuff. So again, with the card, really thick cardstock, which is fantastic. Spin it round. And then this is what I like. The file card. I think that's pretty cool. I prefer this to then going onto an app and taking a look at the details on the app there. So yeah, pretty cool. So liking that a lot. Yeah, a real blast from the past. Right, enough of the card. Let's get him open and have a look. So here is Rock'n'Roll off his card back along with his accessories. And I've got to say, yeah, quite impressed with what I'm seeing. I'm liking this figure a lot. Before we get into the figure, let's take a look at his accessories, starting with the figure stand. And as we know, when it comes to retro carded figures, they are coming with these figure stands, which I think is pretty cool. Not going to use it, but it is handy to have. I just wish the standard line of figures would come with a figure stand, but there you go. Then we have this ammo belt here, which is pretty cool. Not too sure how clearly you can see that. It's a little bit blurred, so I do apologise. Let's have a look. There you go. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So that clips into his main gun. We'll take a look at that in a second. Then we have a walkie-talkie here. Again, pretty cool looking. It's that like army green colour and black. Again, I've got to say, lack of paint apps on these really with the weathering. Again, pistol, standard black. Rock'n'Roll comes with two separate hands. So you've got this like a yo dude kind of hand there, and then you've got like a fist there. So not too sure whether I'm going to be using those or not. Then you come with his lid. I think this is pretty cool. Loving the colour of this. You got like a little bit of brown. Where's it gone there? A little bit of brown at the... Oh, that's bad, isn't it? Sorry about that. A little bit of brown at the side there, and at the back, and at this side, just to break it up. So yeah, I mean, I think that looks pretty cool. Liking that. Then you have this little clip here for the ammo and the magazine, and that clips in on this peg on the figure. And then you've got his main gun here. Again, it's predominantly black. You've got these bits that come forward to make a stand, and then they push back up. But again, the lack of weathering, which is a shame. Then spin it round, and you've got this like little gap here where you can put his ammo belt in. So yeah, pretty cool. Right, let's take a look at the figure. Let's have a look at the face. That's pretty cool, liking that. So he's got blondish hair, but he's got like a black wash to it as well, which dirties it up a bit, which I like. And that's what I was talking about with Xandar. Then you've got the ammo belts coming around the top there, just to break this green up. I do like the army green. I think that's pretty cool. You've got different colour there for the belts and stuff like that. Pretty decent. I'm not too sure. Did the first release of Rock'n'Roll come with tattoos? I can't remember. I missed out on that release, but I'm just really happy I've got this release, to be honest with you. And then there you go. There's the boots. Pretty cool figure. Spin it round. There's the back of the figure there. Again, as you can see, that wash in the blonde hair just to dirty it up a little bit. I think it's pretty cool. Again, I still think he's pretty clean. He looks pretty clean, but the face, decent. Right, okay. Let me set him up then, and let's see what he looks like all kitted up. 2 seconds. So here is Rock'n'Roll all set up, and I've got to say, I am absolutely blown away by this figure. He looks absolutely stunning. I'm loving the overall look of the figure. The green, I'm loving the uniform, that green colour. Absolutely incredible. And when I think of Rock'n'Roll, this is exactly how I expect him to look. Very reminiscent to the original O-ring figure back in the 80s. This is just a modern day updated version of that O-ring figure, but in 6-inch form. Absolutely stunning. The facial sculpt, I'm liking the facial sculpt with the blonde hair, with the black in it, with the black wash, you know, just to dirty that beard up and stuff like that, and the hair again looks absolutely stunning. It's not without its faults. You know, I think the weapons again could have had a bit of weathering. I think overall the figure looks a little bit too clean. Maybe they could have grubbied him up a little bit. But overall, I'm really happy, and he is going to look absolutely stunning in the display. Yeah, fantastic job. Liking this a lot. But again, not without its nitpicks. And as I've said before, the weathering. They could improve on the weathering. I mean, they've given him the weathering and the dark wash on the beard and the hair. Why couldn't they do it with the weapons and the rest of the figure in certain places? But like I say, it is what it is. Overall, a great looking figure. I'm happy, and he's going to look absolutely tremendous in the display. Right, let's crack on and get the next figure open, shall we? Righty ho then. So next up, we should be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra H.I.S. driver. This was an exclusive figure to the HasLab project, the H.I.S. tank. Now, I never backed the H.I.S. tank project originally. I bought mine from Tim from Bosk's Bounty, which I'm very thankful for. Now, this is a separate figure. I bought an extra H.I.S. driver because I want one boxed, and I want this one opened to display with the H.I.S. tank. But before we get into the figure, let's take a look at the packaging. So as you can see, it's windowless. Now, I've stated many a time before, not a big fan of the windowless boxes. However, the image on the front of this box does look pretty cool. I'm liking that a lot. The top corner there, you've got this awesome Cobra logo there, which is pretty cool. You have another Cobra logo there. HasLab just there. At the bottom, Cobra H.I.S. driver, G.I. Joe Classified Series. Then you have the Hasbro logo right at the bottom. And if you spin it around that way, you've got HasLab and G.I. Joe Classified Series there. Spin it round. Again, you've got this awesome Cobra logo there. H.I.S., which is pretty cool. You've got 788, which is a one of the numbers that you see on the H.I.S. tank. Spin it round. On the back, like schematics, so you've got an image of the figure. Then you can see the weapons or the accessories that come with it. So you've got his main gun here, a pistol there, and 2x fists there, which is pretty cool. Then again, you've got that awesome Cobra logo at the top there. Spin it round, and then you have all the information there that you can check up online. Now, I can't see a barcode anywhere on this box, so yeah, I think you just need to, I don't know how you do it. Like I say, it's something that I don't get into, so not 100% sure how you check out these statistics. Number 99 in the wave, the classified wave, and there you go. Oh, the bottom of the box, you have that logo just there as well. So there is the box for the Cobra H.I.S. driver. Let's take him out and let's have a look and see what he's all about. So here are the contents of the box. So as always with these windowless boxes, you have the figure packed in a coffin style box right there. And there's an image of the figure behind the actual figure itself. I'm not too sure whether you can see that. And then you have this locker style box here with all his accessories. Right, okay, that's the inside of the box with the figure. Let's take a look and see what the figure's all about. Righty-ho then, so here is the figure out of his packaging along with his accessories. And before we get into the figure, we shall once again start with the accessories. Starting off with his spare hands. So these are in fist mode there. So you can swap those out fairly easily enough if you want to get them into some fisticuffs. So if I just show you there, you've got a peg there, which should be easy enough to fit in once the other hand has been taken off. Then let's take a look at his weapons. So again, you've got his small sidearm pistol there. Again, just all plain black, so no real paint apps on that at all. And then you've got his main weapon here. So, fairly decent, but as you can see, that is bent to buggery. So, the weapons and the accessories came in a wax-style bag. So, I'm going to need to get some heat on that just to straighten that up, because that's not very good at all. But again, the weapon, pretty much plain black with that silver there. Very clean looking, and no real paint apps on this, like with weathering and stuff like that, even though this is part of a HasLab project where you spend a lot of money on. So there you go. So there's the weapons and the fists. Let's take a look at the figure himself. Again, fairly decent looking figure, liking that, loving the color red. There was an option with the guys that originally backed this. You could choose the different paint options and color schemes and stuff like that, so I'm glad they chose the red. I think if I'd have backed it originally, I would have chosen this color. But again, very, very clean looking, like he's just come out of the factory. New uniform and stuff like that. The boots there. You've got his holster here, which is pretty cool. Then you've got this blue chest plate here, bit of armor there, which really does pop, breaks up the red, and you've got the silver Cobra logo there. Then you've got some added paint apps on his gauntlets there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and then the black on the gloves there as well, which is again pretty decent. So yeah, I mean overall not a bad looking figure. Like I say, very clean. But what can you do? Right, let's get him all geared up, shall we? Okie dokie then, so here is the Cobra H.I.S. tank driver with his weapon, and I've got to say, ball and ache spring to mind. What a nightmare that was trying to get his weapon into his hands. So the grip hand here, really difficult to try and fit the handle of the gun in there and get his trigger finger to where it's supposed to be. So that's really difficult. When you get that sorted out, you then try and get this hand to hold on to that, and then when you get that in place, this comes out this side. So it's an absolute nightmare. And look at that bend on that gun. That is absolute shocking. I will get some heat on that after the video. But yeah, overall, I've got to say this is my least favourite figure of the 3 figures that I've looked at so far. Just because it's a HasLab figure. You would expect a lot better when you're paying that kind of money. But yeah, nothing a bit of heat can't sort out with that. But that's a bit naughty. It shouldn't come like that. But there you go. I'm sure he's going to look pretty awesome in the display. Again, not 100% sure how I'm going to display him, whether he's going to be sitting in the cockpit of the H.I.S. tank or whether he's going to be standing by the side of it with his weapon. I'm not too sure. But that is our 3rd figure. I've got one more figure to take a look at. So let's carry on and take a look and see what this figure's all about. Next up then, we have the G.I. Joe Classified Series Mutt and Junkyard. And again, before we take a look at the figure, let's take a look at the box. As you can see, you've got the big window at the front there, so you can see everything. Mutt there, Junkyard, all the accessories, which is pretty cool. You've got an awesome image of Mutt and Junkyard just here. Hasbro logo down the bottom. G.I. Joe Classified Series there. Spin it round. He is number 113 in the wave. Scan the barcode. Then you can see all his stats, his vitals, his telephone number, all that personal information. G.I. Joe Classified Series at the bottom. Spin it round to the back. And you've got this superb image of both Mutt and Junkyard all kitted up. So yeah, liking that a lot. Again, 113 there. You've got some legalese and some information just there. Spin it round. Again, the same image. Mutt, Junkyard there. G.I. Joe Classified Series 113. Back to the front. On the top, 113. You've got some window there as well to let the light in. And then underneath, again, you've got more legalese and a barcode there. So there's the box. Let's get him open and let's see what he's all about. Righty-ho, so here is Mutt and Junkyard out of the packaging, along with the accessories, and my goodness me, there are a fair few accessories, which is always a good thing, but for me, I think they've gone a little bit overkill with the hands, so let's start off with those. You get 3 sets of spare hands, so here we go. So you have a relaxed grip hand there, and then you have this grip hand here. This set, you have fisticuff there, and then you have again, it's like a relaxed shake your hand style grip there. And then this set, you have a pointy finger, which is a sit. And then you have a grip hand just there. So plenty of options. You can have whichever hand combination you like. Then we have some goggles. So here we have, I think that's a set of goggles there for Mutt. And this, I believe, is for Junkyard. So there you go. And then you have Mutt's mask here, which is pretty cool. So I'm not too sure if you can see the detail there. You've got some red and some green. Oh, spin that round just like so. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Then you have his dagger. Again, very small, but it's just predominantly silver and black there. You have his baton there, which is pretty cool. So it's just plain black. So there you are. You have his sidearm, his pistol. So you've got 2 colours there. So you've got green and black. Pretty cool. You get his lid, which is pretty cool. Liking that. Pretty awesome. Then you get his main rifle. So again, you've got the green there. And then you've got the black as well. No weathering, but then that's standard. Then with Junkyard, you get a swappable head. So you've got a more relaxed head there with his tongue out, giving you a big slobbery kiss. And then let's take a look at Junkyard himself. Okay, so you've got his face there with a bit of a snarl. You've got the red collar with the silver studs. And I'm liking the way they've painted the studs there. That's pretty cool. Then you've got his green body jacket. Again, pretty decent. Liking that a lot. You've got 2 tones of green. You've got the darker green on the top and then the light green around the strapping. And then you've got the brown on the face there as well, which is cool. Pink of the tongue and the gums, the white of the teeth, which is pretty decent. And then you've got like the two tones from black down to like a brownie colour for his feet. So yeah, pretty cool. Liking what they've done with Junkyard. So he's fairly decent. Let's take a look at Mutt. So again, pretty cool. Now, I don't mind the face sculpt, but to me, if we can get it in focus, it looks like he's sitting there curling one out. That's the kind of face you pull when you're straining. So yeah, I wish I'd have just given him a neutral look. But overall, I'm loving the colours, the greens, the browns, the reds. They really do pop. Then you've got a little bit of black on the boots there, just to break the brown up on the boots there. So yeah, fairly decent looking figure. You've got the silver there on the badge, and then you think you've got some like looks like gold, sort of like studs just there as well. Spin around, and then you've got his belt there. You've got the little whatever this is here with the red and the black. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, overall, oh, and I think he's got a tattoo there as well, which is decent. So liking that a lot. So yeah, fairly decent looking figure. Again, pretty clean. With you expect him to be a little bit grungy, but there you go. Right, let's get him set up then, and give my final thoughts on Mutt and Junkyard. 2 seconds. And here we have Mutt and Junkyard all set up. And I've got to say, overall, really pleased with what I'm seeing. I'm loving the colours on Mutt, the greens, the reds and the browns. I think those three colours work really well together. Junkyard, they've done a fantastic job with him. The blacks, the browns and the fades, I think it's really cool. Liking that a lot. The only bugbear, again, is trying to get him to hold his weapon in both hands. So you get it gripped in one hand, you go to grip it in the other hand, and it comes out the other hand. So that's that again, the word ball ache springs to mind. But I mean, overall, yeah, relatively happy with what I'm seeing. Right, so what I'm going to do then is get the four figures in front of us, and then I'm going to give my final thoughts, then see the video out. So, as always, 2 seconds. Okie dokie then, so here are the four figures all together, and I've got to say, overall, I'm relatively pleased with what I'm seeing, and as much as I've been bigging up Hasbro lately, saying how much of a good job they've been doing with their G.I. Joe Classified Series figures, I still do have my nitpicks. The first one is the inconsistency when it comes to paint apps. For example, Xandar's hair could have done with a nice wash just to dirty that up a little bit, whereas on Rock and Roll, they've given him the wash, which gives him that realistic look with the hair and stuff like that. So, like I say, they do it on one figure, but they don't do it on another figure. Overall, Xandar, a Dreadnought, I expect him to look grungy and dirty. He doesn't. He looks far too clean. So, there's that. Rock and Roll, again, I'm loving the matte of the green and stuff like that. So, that's pretty cool. Again, I think he could have done with a little bit of weathering just to dirty him up a little bit. My least favourite, I have to say, is the Cobra H.I.S. tank driver. Again, when you're paying that kind of money for a premium item such as a HasLab H.I.S. tank, you expect the figure to be, I don't know. I mean, I think he looks far too clean. And again, I think it's just the lack of paint apps there. Overall, I think he looks great. But again, just to give him that lived-in look and wear and tear and stuff like that. And as for the weapon, I mean, it's very rubbery. And as you can see, you've got that bend in the end of the rifle there on the dagger. Again, when you're paying that much money, you don't expect the weapons to be rubbery, doing a Jonathan Wass there. So yeah, a bit rubbery, which I'm not happy about. And then you've got Mutt again, well, Mutt and Junkyard. My favourite out of the lot. I just think the greens, the reds and the browns work really well. So liking that. And like I say, they've done a fantastic job with Junkyard. But again, another nitpick as well is the articulation when it comes to holding the weapons. It's been the same with each and every one of these figures. You get the grip in one hand and it's fine, and then you go to grip it in the other hand and then the opposite hand becomes loose and stuff like that. So it's not great, and the weapons are really rubbery. I mean, take for example this rifle here, and to extent Mutt's as well. But I've got to say, overall, these are going to look fantastic in display. It's not like I'm going to be playing around with them and stuff like that. I do want to get them in certain poses. But overall, I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Are they 100% perfect? No, they're not. And I keep saying it. This line isn't for everybody. I understand that and I know that. and I can see people's frustrations when it comes to this line. When you're paying a certain price for figures, you expect the consistency when it comes to paint apps, and you expect the quality when it comes to the weapons and stuff like that, and you don't want them rubbery and stuff like that, and you don't want them bending left, right, and center, which isn't great. But like I say, overall, relatively happy with what I'm seeing, and these are going to look pretty cool in the display. Anyhow, that is enough for me for this video. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to let you know of more content. And as always, there will be more content. Appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. It does mean a lot. I also very much appreciate your generosity, your friendship, and your support. And long may that continue, hopefully. Yeah, so just want to say a huge thank you. Take care, stay safe, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.